Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to James Redmond TV and welcome to another live stream where we're here to talk about all the things that I've missed out on over the past few days. Little Nottingham rounds up, little bits and bobs about some. To be honest, it's not all good news. A lot of it's devastating news, especially around Luis Diaz and the updates, or should I say the lack of, really, around that situation, because all the updates at the moment is just all involving patience and things like this. So listen, I don't know if you're religious or not religious, but whether you are or you aren't, send him your prayers or send him your best wishes. Regardless, we just need to get an overwhelming amount of support in this matter, and just to make him realise that, you know what, we're all here for you, and we all back you, we all support you. I feel like that was emphasised over the weekend as well, but it's just a devastating, horrible situation, kind of like out of a movie. You see these things in like drug films and stuff like that, but in this instance, you forget it's real life. It's a very real thing, and the tactics that are being used by the opposing side, if you want to call them, and the people who have held his dad hostage is quite frankly disgusting. And it's growing even more worrying by the day. There's different reports about where his dad could currently be and whether or not the police are closer to finding him. So I'm going to try and accurately report on what's going on the Diaz situation, because the last thing you want to be doing on a topic as sensitive as that is be spreading misinformation. But that's going to be the aim in this video. We're also going to talk about Andre. We're also going to touch on the Liverpool-Nottingham game, as I mentioned before. But first and foremost, let me say hello to the boys that hasn't seen me for ages. Chat, I just want to say something before we start as well. I know that like sometimes I can go away for a couple of days and I'm not posting and whatnot. I'm at a point in my life where I'm sorting out a few bits and bobs, and life isn't always easy, mate. You know what I mean? And even me, I can come on positive all I want, but there's a lot of things that get to me in life, and right now I've got a lot of things that I need to be resolving in a personal matter wise. So I don't know how consistent the content will be, but I do know that I'm going to try and bring it as daily as I possibly can. You'll know that I've had the Wi-Fi issues over recent time as well. But yeah, the reason why I'm back on my laptop is because at the moment I'm using my personal hotspot, so there's definitely still a possibility of everything going wrong, pretty much. But that's hopefully not going to be the case for this stream. Hopefully we can get away with it and survive through the Wi-Fi issues. Big up to Rubber and Ipswich, who's been a member for 3 whole months on JRTV. You fucking legends. What a G. We love you. Big up to Sam, who's in the chat. Big up to Drunk Vigo, Miggs, Troy, Liam, David, Captain Sal, all the dudes. Honestly, Hortensia, Harrison. There's another dude there. I'll be honest, the pronunciation of that name will be so offensive from me. Ola Cunnil. Oh, I feel like I can get cancelled on this platform, guys, just even for name pronunciation. But big up to you as well, sir. Yeah, chat. What are we talking about first? What's the agenda? How do you want to order the agenda? We missed you, you little rascal. We are all with Lucho Diaz. He will never walk alone. That is right. That is right. Do you know what? I'll touch on the Diaz topic because I feel like that's the one topic that I want to get out the way, purely on the premise that it's not a nice topic to talk about, and the last thing I want to be doing is trying to improve view retention on talking about a topic that I'm not quite clued up on, and it seems like a lot of people aren't, even the people who are doing the reports on this. And what I mean by that is that there was, I believe, a false report made by the Daily Mirror or someone along those lines about how Diaz's father was found. Turns out that weren't true. There's other reports that are saying that he's been or that he's made it to Venezuela, which if it is true, that's quite concerning, because you think about Venezuela, the policing situation there is very minimal. It's not the best known place for policing, therefore leaving more room for corruption, which means if he has gotten there, that's another worrying sign. But we do know that at this point, his mother was returned safely quite soon after the kidnapping, and his dad was held for ransom to Luis Diaz, I assume, for an exchange of an amount of money, I would assume, to return his dad safely. Now, the police in Colombia are also on this, and there's people in Colombia supporting Luis Diaz through these times. But how much public support can you get to make this situation better? There's none. Of course, it's amazing that everyone's come together, but the fact that these people have decided to do this and to, do this to a Colombian hero, it shows that, sentimentalism does not matter. And it all matters about greed. It all matters about selfishness. And, a lot of people talk about how in South America there can be these instances and there can be these kidnappings and stuff like that. But the fact that, his mum and his dad was just at a petrol station, and next thing you know, there's this big story going on. It just goes to show that no matter where you are in the world, there's unsafety, or should I say, there's unsafe things that can go down. And in Colombia, that seems to be one of the things that, it's just devastating to hear that not only does it impact other people, but now it's also impacted even somebody like Luis Diaz, therefore showing it can happen to anybody. So that seems to be the update up to this point. So there's not really much more to report, except that his dad still hasn't been found and that it's still a worrying situation. And day by day, each day that goes by, it is going to grow concern. It is going to grow worry. And also, I'm going to say to sort of end this topic is that give Luis Diaz all the time that he needs. You do not approach this situation the way you look at somebody who's been injured. So when everyone fumes about Naby Keita being unavailable, that's completely different to how this has been. I even saw a Liverpool fan, supposedly Liverpool fan, someone who represents themselves as a Liverpool fan, talking about how, even though he's going through a tough time, he's got to be brave and still fulfill his job. Why are we paying his wages? And the reading of that comment made me sick to my stomach. The fact that somebody who self-identifies themselves as a Liverpool fan is prioritising stuff like football, something as bullshit as football, above matters like these. And for me, if he doesn't play for months because of this instance, I completely understand. As one, we don't know the conclusion of the result, but let's say it's best case scenario. Let's say his dad comes back. You don't think it's out of the realm of possibility he'd want to spend some time with his family for a couple of weeks and take a step out of football and maybe think of new approaches to move them to a safer area or move them to a different country? I'm not too sure. Even people, I saw other tweets going at Luis Diaz saying, oh, why didn't he have them moved out of that area? And it makes you think like, well, Luis Diaz can't move everybody out. And also, what if the parents wanted to stay? There's a lot of instances where parents would prefer to stay where they come from. There's a lot of players who, immigrate to Europe and then the parents will go and stay wherever they came from. And that's very, very normal. You don't want to leave your culture. You don't want to leave the rest of your family. Even if your son or daughter is making millions and they can move you out. So it's not as easy as just saying, hindsight is always 2020. Oh, you could have moved them to a safer area. For me, it's a case of, listen, that was their home. They went to a place that they were safe or they felt they were safe and they got caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. A very, very horrible instance as well. One that shouldn't happen and one that we hope the policing situation will solve all in due course. But people need to be considerate. People need to be kind to this situation and people need to be understanding, quite frankly. Otherwise, you're just being obnoxious. It's as simple as that. Big up to Sam. He says it's obviously mental, not trying to offend anyone, but South America and Colombia need to update their laws and crime like this always happens. It's about investment into the criminal system, isn't it? It's about investment into the policing. It's about investment, making sure things like this don't happen. Things like this will still happen, no matter how much money you invest into policing. But it's still very concerning for sure. And if the reports are true about Luis Diaz's dad approaching Venezuela, that's even more concerning because of the things that can go on there. And, people have been talking about the cartel and stuff like that over the past few days, haven't they? And again, that's an area of conversation that I'm a little bit less wary of. But it's one of those areas of conversations where you've still got to talk about it because you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes and who's pulling the strings behind this matter. Kidnappings are not rare, sadly, in South American countries. What the fuck? I was even worried about the rest of the squad as it impacts on the whole team as they are very close. I was thinking, how do you hear that type of news the night before and then the next day you still go and play a game of football? And listen, it's a testament to the players who went on and still performed and done the job. And it was amazing that amidst the great performance, then amidst the tough situation, they could still show the consideration and the condolences to Luis Diaz by lifting up the shirt and just showing like, listen, we're with you. No matter what, even when we're playing, we're thinking about you. Even when the fans are supporting, we're thinking about you. And for whatever that means, it doesn't bring anybody back. But what it does do is just show like, listen, we're by your side and you're not alone in this situation, which is always a positive. Big up to Michael. He says, not to sound too cynical, but it's kind of surprising stuff like this doesn't happen more often, given the relatively impoverished countries some top players come from. it's a very rare instance for sure. And chat, can you name any other examples of situations that have been similar to this one where people's family members have been kidnapped? You see loads of stories about how footballers' houses are broken into. That even happens in the UK. That's not just a South American thing. You can see instances. Was there a goalkeeper not too long ago who got held captive inside of his own home? Paul Pogba had that weird situation with his brother as well. So there is definitely weird instances that happen. But based on one like this is very, very unusual. But you're right, though. Like, for instance, this gentleman here talking about how it's not a rare occurrence. That's right. It's just not something you usually see with big footballers. And that's probably because footballers' parents are usually more protected, in more safer environments. I don't know. But it's not nice, however way you try and paint it out, is it? You know what I'm saying? Big up to Shiranath. Hello, sir. Hey, James. Sorry I couldn't tune in regularly. You are way too mature for your age. I don't agree. I think I'm very immature at times. But I do try and be as balanced as possible on situations like this. And listen, I think even a prick can say that this is a very evil thing that's happening to Luis Diaz right now. South American players generally pay the head cartel to keep their families safe. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? So, I don't know how true or not true this statement is, but I do understand the cartel have a big part to play in areas in South America. And you're thinking, well, how much of this is to do with them, or how much of this is them trying to solve the situation? And that's where I get uneducated. So you guys might be able to tell me more than what I already know. There we go. There's another example. Di Maria's family kidnapped and had to get subbed off. There we go. There's been instances like that where, people during a game, maybe their family's being attacked while they're in the game, and then next thing you know, they've got to leave the game or they've got to go straight away. I think I remember that, actually. So no, that's a great point. But this is the overall conclusion from Nelly. We pray for Luis Diaz's family, whether you're a Christian, Muslim, atheist, I don't care. You've got to send your best wishes. You've got to have your best hopes. If you believe in manifestation and all that, manifest good times, only manifest safety. I don't know what you believe in, but just make sure that you do. More Andre stuff buzzing from Redmond TV over to Seamus Redmond, Esquire. Seamus Redmond, yeah. Jeez, is it because of the Irish name? Anyway, we'll move on to Andre, and we will send our best wishes to Luis Diaz, but I wanted to get that out of the way at the start of the stream. Let's share the page of Andre Trindade, my G, the guy who we were expecting to sign into the summer, but we never did. Well, really, not particularly. It was more a case of even though we were going to sign him, or even though we was interested, it was always going to be a January thing. And Neil Jones, in this instance, in this quote, he's speaking about this very, very positively. So if you read the wording here from, a more reliable journalist in the Liverpool scene, if Fluminense go on to win the Copa Libertadores, it bodes well for Liverpool if and when they do go back in for him. So he's saying it bodes well if and when they do go back in for him. So whoever Neil Jones's close sources is to the football club, he has full faith and confidence that when they do go back in for him, that says to me, when they are going to go back in for him. Therefore, these sources are saying we are very much interested in Andrade still, which is brilliant to hear, because it seems like this is someone everybody's a big fan of. And because the club wants the player, I am happy to test the theory. Does Andrade have a great pedigree? No. But does he have great attributes? 100%. Is he at an age where there's room for improvement? 1,000,000%. Can that be beneficial towards us and our team? Definitely. That's why I'd like the idea of going out there, getting Andrade. I think he's someone who stylistically suits our team. I think he benefits us in possession. I think he's a bit of a shithouse, which is always great. And it's what you want from a player like him. You want those type of situations. Wait there, let me just go back on that screen. So anyway, let's read the rest of it. As he's then got something under his belt, he will have experienced a big final and brought some kind of winning experience over, which is a good point. It's more of a generalised point. He's basically saying because he would have won something, he's coming into the Liverpool team with that winning mentality, which is great, of course. But the main point, or the thing that I wanted to take out of this, was Liverpool, if and when they do go back in for him. The if can confuse people, but the when seems to be a bit more definitive. Like, yeah, we are going to go back in for him. It's just a matter of when. And the only way, if it doesn't happen, is if we get somebody else on the radar, which kind of says to me, we're looking for a CDM. Speaking of CDM, Fabinho, is he trending? What's he trending for? Has he played shit in Saudi or something? Oh, no, is it just because it was his birthday? You can't get a new Fabinho or Bobby. They are unique. We have to improve every day with principles and the past ideals that will never change. Fair dues. Very fair. Oh, I don't know why Fabinho's trending. Maybe because it was his birthday the other day. I was just intrigued to see why that was. But chat, let me know what you think about the Andrade talk. Is this someone that you're jumping on? Because for me, I think value for money, the ambitions that he has. He came out and spoke about the club the other day as well. And even what he was saying, just about the loyalties that he had to his previous club and the commitments that he guaranteed them. And therefore, that's why he stayed. Amazing. It's great to know that he's got that element of loyalty and he's not just a shitbag who's going to leave your team high and dry. And the Liverpool offer would have been very tempting. And we also know Manchester United went in for the same player and he had a preference to join Liverpool, which goes to show instead of being a money man, he's a project man. He sees a project with Liverpool and he wants to play in the Premier League. So it's amazing to see. And if we can go and get him, I think he's got all the attributes mentally and physically and on the ball. So technically too, to be a top player, to be a top player. Big up to Honesty Hortensia, who says if Andre comes and Ezekiel from Boca Juniors, I think this will be the end of Thiago and Carvalho at LFC. Well, Carvalho and Thiago are two interesting cases. So Thiago was even mentioned by Pep Linders today. Even though I think Thiago will go, I wouldn't be surprised if we gave him a new contract, chat. I just, just for that figure or whatever. I wouldn't agree with it. I don't think that he's warranted a new contract based on the game time he's being given this season, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen, chat. WRL. I'm just thinking that it could be a possibility because this is what we usually like to do. We like to give players who are way overboard or, even James Milner. James Milner was a great asset, and I understand why we wanted to keep James Milner in hindsight. But the force, or if James Milner left sooner, if Henderson left sooner, I think Fabinho went at the right time. That was the one instance where we actually got a transfer right. We brought him in at a good age. We maximised his prime, and we let him go for a fantastic amount of money at a time where he was declining. Fabinho was diabolically, horribly shit. He was, let's not call a spade a spade. He was great throughout his years. But his final year and a half, he was one to be questioned more than most in that team. So I'm very happy that he went. But he's one example of who left at the right time. Thiago would need to leave at the end of the season for it to be the right time for Thiago. I think anything more, although you can't doubt his quality, although you can't doubt what he brings to this team when he plays. And I even think Thiago's being overhated based on what he's done in a Liverpool shirt. In that quadruple chasing season, Thiago was one of our best players. I'd even go as far to say top 2, top 3. I really would. I think he was that damn good. In his first season towards the end of the year, he was great. The season where we just scraped third. We were outside the top 4 in the COVID season, the full COVID season, not the one where we won the league, the full COVID season. And he was great. He was one of our better players in those final 10 games. So the career of Thiago will be disrespected, but based on what he has shown availability-wise, you have to let him go, chat. It's unfortunate. Thiago, I think, is the best midfielder at the club. I think Szobo can overtake that mantle, but I think based on resume, based on performances, based on what he's done in the Liverpool shirt, Thiago is by and far away best and most established midfielder at the club. But he needs to go because this availability is becoming an issue. And it does create more room for younger players to not only get more opportunities, but for more younger players to come in. So Thiago's an interesting one. Honestly, Hortensia, what you're saying about Carvalho, I am so intrigued to see how this unfolds with Carvalho. Because right now, he's not getting game time at Leipzig. Second of all, he had a very, very poor amount of game time last season, which a lot of people hated on Jurgen Klopp for. I always agreed with the lack of game time Carvalho was getting. In games, he didn't look to be overly influential. He didn't look to suit the system. And he weren't. And think about his best position, a number 10. We don't have a number 10. And he's not good as a number 8, or at least there was many midfielders we had who were favoured above him as a number 8. And he's also not going to be favoured as a left winger. So I think you're right. I think that journey of Carvalho exiting the door is most certainly there. And when you consider the new attackers that are coming into the team as well, and the new attackers that we're linked with, there was that dude from Schalke, that young talent that we were linked with, who's also an attacking player. We've seen the links with Jamal Musiala as well. I think the club are looking for a creative number 10 who can play the number 8 and will do a job offensively. But how the fuck is Carvalho going to come back in this team and get above Gravenberch and get above Szobo and get above Andrade and all these players? Sorry, Andrade. How is he going to do it? He's not, because he's not better than them in the 8. And he's not better than Diaz at left wing. He's not better than Gakpo at left wing. He's not better than Nunes or Jota at left wing. So if he's favoured as the number 5th choice in both of those positions and those categories, where's the room? Chat, WRL, do you think that Carvalho will be a Liverpool player by 2025? So it's 2024 next season. By 2025, summertime, will he be a Liverpool player still? Because I don't know if he will. But I really hope that somehow he can find a run of games at Leipzig to increase that value so that if we do, or if and when we do sell him, I think we will. I think we'll be able to get a nicer bit amount of money for him. Therefore, proving he was a good money ball signing. Not a good signing overall, but a good money ball signing. Everyone's saying, nah, you all think that Carvalho's gone. I agree. I think Carvalho's going to go as well. I don't really see a position for him in this team. When it comes to Carvalho, I think his attitude, because even at Leipzig, he doesn't get minutes. Maybe Klopp was right about him. Listen, mate, when Klopp has a problem with a player attitude-wise, look at Mario Balotelli, who was still a Liverpool player when Klopp came in. Look at Mamadou Sakho. These players, John Flanagan, all these players were nullified and removed out of the team the second an attitude problem arose. When John Flanagan displayed attitude problems off the pitch, Klopp said, you now need to go. When Mamadou Sakho was always being a bit of a prick, he let him go. And then what did Mamadou Sakho's career went to? He went to Crystal Palace, and he's now fallen out with managers in France, therefore displaying he's got a bit of an attitude problem. And then you even talk about Mario Balotelli. Everyone knows his attitude problem, and Klopp does not put up with that shit. And what could be the attitude problem? Could he be being too big for his boots? Yes. Could he think he's better than what he is? Very possibly. And if he's not respecting the manager's choices, which I don't think Carvalho possibly was, Klopp has a right to not play him, and Klopp has a right to not involve him. Fabio is gone. Don't think he had the right attitude, which is why Klopp didn't pick him. His statements when he left hasn't helped his case. I agree. You don't always play instantly when you go out on loan. Carvalho will have to bide his time. But then, is he going to play above Olmo? No. Olmo is one of the best players in Europe in that position. He's probably one of the more complete natural number 10s that you're going to get, and he's not going to start above him. You see the form that Xavi Simons is in right now. Believe me, he will not start above Xavi Simons. There is no room in that Leipzig team for Carvalho, as unfortunate as it is, because it seemed like it was going to be a perfect little Szobo replacement, but he's not. He's stylistically different to Szobo. He's not as versatile as Szobo. Szobo can play anywhere in the midfield and anywhere in the front three. Carvalho does not have this same luxury. It's just a matter of the fact. It'd be nice, of course, but it's just not how it works, unfortunately. Let me get up that next comment there. Big up to Ola Kunal. Ola Kunal. Ola, can I call you Ola? Because I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say your name in such a horrible way. You'll want to batter me, lads. Fabio is gone. Oh no, I've read that one. Big up to Shiranath James. The same note of value for money. Does Salah need to be sold? He seems to be the talisman in the team week in, week out. Listen, no. Right now, there is no substance that says we would benefit of selling Salah. Okay, yes, we could get a lot of money. But if we turn down all that money in the last summer, there's no point in selling him next summer. And I think it's established we're not in need of an additional 100 million. Is it always beneficial for the business? Of course. But it's not like we're talking about a prospect who's still slightly unproven, who's now going to get sold. It's somebody who we know is the fundamental goal creator and goal scorer in our team. And this season, with all the goals and with all the assists, Mohamed Salah deserves that luxury, deserves that opportunity to play week in, week out, because he's been the best player in the Premier League, most goal contributions in the Premier League, most influential player in the team. There's no doubt about it. And he seems to be aging like wine. The thing with Salah, he's never relied on technical ability, always opening the door for a possible surgeon's post his 30s. So he was never going to be a player that hit 30 and went shit, because that was never what Salah was. He never relied on just physical attributes. Just technical attributes. But that physicality is something that, with the way he maintains his body and his health, that'll be brilliant for him in the long term. No doubt about it. And that's why I think Salah's going to be more than okay. I think he's going to be more than beneficial for the team. And I think he should stay. I don't know if there's any amount of money. Don't get me wrong. If you're going to offer me 150 million, 200 million for Salah, you have to discuss it. But then you've got to think about the replacement and how important is this money for us in the short term. Will we spend all the money that we get for Mohamed Salah? I don't think we will, because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think there's a necessary 200 million influx of cash that we're required to do. I'm happy with our centre-backs. Okay, yes, we can get one more centre-back, but I'm very happy with the crop of centre-backs we've got right now. I'm very happy with the crop of full-backs that we've got. You could argue that we get a backup right back, but I'm willing to test the theory on Conor Bradley when he gets back from injury. I'm willing to test that theory. So the only positions that are really required is another centre-back and another midfielder. I think attacking-wise, we're okay. Midfielder-wise, we're boss. There's no need for the £200 million influx. Now, if it was like last season, where it seems we need to rebuild the whole team along with the depth, I don't think we're in that same position no more. I think the likes of Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott being young products of not well, Harvey's not an academy product, but we bought him at a very young age. Curtis Jones, an academy product. Connor Bradley, an academy product. Ben Doak. I think these guys are going to accommodate us enough to sort out the depth in the short term, possibly making a breakthrough in the first team in the long term. So unless we needed to improve a midfielder, a striker, a defender, and all these positions, and we needed a world-class player in each one of them, that's when I'd say, okay, let's go with Salah. But because we don't need all these heavy world-class positions, my mind's changed. In the summer, I said we'd sell Salah, but the perspective on the squad has now changed so much and so drastically. His importance and his goals and his goal contributions so far outweigh than what that £200 million can do for us right now. Do you understand what I'm saying, chat? Does that make sense? WRL. Hamez chatting shite. No way you can just let him go, surely. James Diamande from Sporting is the centre-back, is the one that we need. I've not really seen him, I'll be honest with you, but he could be an option. I don't want to shoehorn a left winger on the right. Yes, I agree. If you're trying to imply Luis Diaz or Diogo Jota, I 100% agree. I don't think it's beneficial trying to get one of them to replace Mo Salah. Salah commercial value to the club is huge. If he's performing on the field, he won't be sold. FSG won't accept anything less than 300 million for him due to his commercial value. This is a great point here as well from Ola. Bang on. I think that when you think about Mohamed Salah right now, commercial value, worldwide influence, number one Muslim athlete in the world. What that does for your team is huge. Quite frankly, it's what's going to attract a lot of Muslims to the stadium, therefore increasing the revenue. It's what's going to attract a lot of people from Egypt to the stadium. And also just even growing younger Liverpool fans. Mohamed Salah is what Aguero was to the Premier League. Mohamed Salah is now that in the Premier League. You think about the Eden Hazards, Sergio Aguero's, Luis Suarez for the tiny stint that he had in the Premier League. If you think about the long-term Premier League great, so this is now excluding Luis Suarez because he was a short-term Premier League great. But Salah is in that conversation. He's in there with the Thierry Henrys. He's in there with the Alan Shearers, the Eden Hazards, the Sergio Agueros, and anyone who says otherwise is either incredibly disingenuous or doesn't know ball. It's one or the other. You're either the thickest pig shit, or you don't realise how fucking good Mohamed Salah is, or you just got an agenda. It's one of those three. You cannot sit there sincerely and say Salah is not an all-time great. You can't sit there and say he's still not performing as a great level player. You can't be honest. He's got the most goal contributions in the league. People say, oh, because De Bruyne's injured. I think if De Bruyne was playing, I don't think he has the same amount of goal contributions as Mohamed Salah does right now. Even someone like Erling Haaland, who's a machine, I don't think he's got less goal contributions than Mohamed Salah, and he's in a systematic freak team, whereas Salah is what makes us so freaky going forward, because now he's creating chances, he's passing the ball at the right time, the technique on the pass is beautiful, the goal scoring's still there. It's not like that's gone down at all, and he scored a goal or assisted every single game for the past 20 games, and I will include Spurs in that because he was unfairly disallowed an assist on Luis Diaz, which was more than fine. He's that good every single game post-match. Everyone's like, oh, Salah was pocketed today, or Salah was this, Salah was X, Salah was Y. Yet you still couldn't stop him. He is so one-dimensional as a footballer, yet your ass or your fullbacks couldn't stop him. Whether it be Luke Shaw, Udogie, fucking Tommy Asu, fucking Ben White, whoever the fuck the fullback is, no one stops Mo Salah. Why? Because he's that damn good. Now, let me take you back to what Virgil van Dijk said about Olivier Giroud. Olivier Giroud wasn't the best, but was the toughest opponent that Virgil van Dijk had. That's coming out of Virgil van Dijk's mouth. I'm not just making that up. Why? Not because he'd be dribbling past Virgil van Dijk all game. He wouldn't do nothing against Virgil van Dijk all game. Not one thing. Besides get that odd goal. And it's so interesting when a player who can't get past you, can't beat you for pace, can't do X, Y, and Z, but yet they still find a way to score. It's like Deontay Wilder. You can get battered for a big majority of the fight, but what matters? That fucking knockout blow. That's going to end it all, and it doesn't matter how much technique you fucking have. It's like Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury, which, by the way, Francis Ngannou was robbed. Big up the fucking Francis, representing us MMA merchants, which we love to see. That one punch changed the dynamic of the fight. It made Tyson Fury less wanting to come in. He was thinking, fuck that, I'm not looking on getting knocked out by an MMA dude. Let me be reserved. The knockout blow is what matters, and Salah has got that knockout blow in abundance, and that's why you've got to give him respect. Absolutely. Correct, Salah. Agent stated the other week that Salah gets paid 1 million a week from LFC. His basic salary is 350k. Plus all the bonuses is very warranted, because why have we got to analyse why he deserves this much revenue? Because of the revenue he solely generates. What I love is that we've done this as a progressive thing with Salah. Salah was never this superstar when he came to the club, but the second he became the superstar, he was given the assets, not because of what he's done, but also because of what he could do going forward. That's why I'm happy, in hindsight, that we got rid of Sadio Mane. Because Sadio Mane, based on evidence, was seeming to prove that if we was going to pay him Salah-type wages, which is what he was wanting, he was never going to quantify those wages the same way that Mohamed Salah quantified those wages. So you can't just pay players for what they've done. You've got to pay players for what they are going to do. That's why I wouldn't have even minded keeping Bobby Firmino. I think he'd have been a very valuable asset on the bench to come on in certain games, possibly even start certain games. We all know Jurgen Klopp wanted to keep him as well, which would have been insane for the squad depth going into this season. Insane. But the things that Salah's doing right now, even the partnership that he's built with Núñez has been incredible, insane. The way that he's elevated Núñez's performances, he carries Núñez at times. Núñez has been great, but when Núñez is playing below par, you've got Mohamed Salah still putting chances on a plate for Darwin Núñez, and it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see. I miss Bobby Firmino. Fucking hell. I miss his posts about Jesus. I miss his beautiful goals. I miss his silky skills. I miss how much space he creates for the opposition. It's amazing. But you know what I do like? Gakpo's kind of filled in that void and, you know, sort of tried to make it his own, which is amazing to see. So yeah, I do think that everyone misses Bobby Firmino. Just a shame you see him going there in Saudi and he's doing X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? It's a bit crap. Big up to Shinanath. He says, why don't pundits put Salah on the same bracket as Rooney, Henry, Shearer? The disrespect. I think the names you've just mentioned specifically, well, I suppose Henry isn't English, is he? But two of the names that you mentioned was English. Even like Harry Kane gets put on in those conversations more than Mohamed Salah. So you are right there, Shinanath. I don't know why, but I do think there's other pundits that do put him on that level. I do. If you're going to be fair, if you're going to be honest, maybe not all of them, as all of them should, but I do think that they do give Mohamed Salah respect. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but I have seen pundits give him massive respect and giving him the homage in which he deserves. There is so much front three. So much. Our front three was great, despite the Sadio Mo rivalry, not because of it. This is bullshit. They never had a rivalry. Never was a rivalry. That just got put into the media for clicks. That just was why? Because division's great, conflict is great. There was never any conflict between those two. Not to say there was no competitive edge. Not to say they never got upset at each other. But fuck me, mate, if you applied that same logic to Virgil van Dijk and James Milner last season, when Virgil van Dijk made that mistake against United, I think, then what? Does Milner and Virgil van Dijk have a conflict? No, they're fine. They're more than fine. There was no conflict. That was absolutely bollocks. And it's annoying because a lot of Salah super fanboys believe in this narrative, and that's why they completely shit on Mane and don't give Mane any respect. Mane, at times at Liverpool, and I will hold this opinion till the day I die, he was better than Mo Salah. For a good 2-year spell, Mohamed Salah was as good as he was because of the work that Mane was putting in for the overall team, allowing Salah to get into those free-flowing positions of scoring goals. You cannot say to me Sadio Mane for a period of time was not the best player in the team. He absolutely was. And he was the first piece of the jigsaw. You think about him, you think about Gini. Our success followed of what Mane did. And regardless whether Salah's had the longevity over Mane, if longevity is going to be the sole argument, well, we can no longer praise Virgil van Dijk when it comes to talking about Vidic. But the argument we put forward is not that he had a better, longer career than Vidic, but in the prime for prime, Virgil van Dijk was better. And that's what I'd say about Sadio Mane. I'd say prime for most left wingers that have ever graced the Premier League, Sadio Mane was above them or on that level. On that level. Tell me the best of the best left wingers that have ever graced the league, I will put Mane on that level. I think he is in that category with the best of the best, especially in his prime. Not even a doubt. When he won the AFCON as well, you think about that perseverance, you think about that mentality, different mentality. You think about the Champions League final goals that he scored, the goals in the FA Cup semi-final. semi-final knockout stages, Champions League knockout stage goals that he scored in the quadruple chasing season. Sadio Mane, in his final 6 months at Liverpool, was our best player. Better than Salah. Salah was poor in those final 6 months up until that quadruple chase. And Salah does go quite silent in finals as well. Mane was the complete opposite to this. That's not to degrade Salah, but people are so unfair and so disingenuous because the little stat merchants that when they think Salah and Mane had this rivalry, okay, now let's just completely disrespect everything that Sadio Mane was. So it exalts Mohamed Salah into his rightful position. No, you don't need to drag one down to exalt the other. You can exalt both very simultaneously. They are both kings of Africa. They are both amazing. They are both class. They both had stats. They both have creativity. Salah just has that longevity in the Liverpool shirt. Plain and fucking simple. And it's only because Liverpool turned down an offer from Saudi that is likely the reason Salah didn't end up going there. Because it was a respect thing for Salah. If he didn't feel respected, he was going to go. Where was he going to go? He was going to go to Saudi. He's won everything in the country. So those who sit there and play the card like Salah would have never left is complete bollocks. He would have went if we accepted the offer and never gave him an improved offer. And that's why Mane left, because he never felt respected. Salah would have left if he felt that same way. But yeah, the hate that Mane gets is absolutely ingrained. I won't even name names, but there's even people who I'm cool with who shit on Mane. It's wild to me. James, do you still have the same opinions on the owners despite the summer signings working so well? Yes, I've always held shit, and I've got people messaging me on Twitter like, oh, you're not speaking about the owners as much no more. I will speak about the owners when asked to speak about the owners. I have never made my decision on FSG based on their footballing decisions. Yes, it's a factor, but it's not the overall factor. I lost all trust with FSG when that Super League was conducted and put together, because what that shows me is that they are willing to stab our fans and stab the fan groups in the back without any consent on going ahead with big football and matters. They were ready to take us into a league that was going to monopolise football to a point where there's no relegation. There's only these top teams who can play in the league, and therefore the top brands stay the top brands, and there's no room for other teams who would have stayed in the Premier League and other competitions to improve and get onto that world stage level. Instead, they were going to say, you know what, fuck this, let's put everyone in a league together without the fans' consent. We agree on this. Now, it's my fault if I feel for it the first time. If they were to do it a second time, I can sit there and say I told you all. Because if they were to go and form another Super League, or say if Fiorentino Perez came along with another idea and FSG agreed to the idea, well, now they're ruining not only the heritage of the club, but the heritage of football as a whole. And ever since that day, culminated with a few other business decisions that they've made, like the ticket prices, like the Liverpool symbol thing, and all these different types of stuff. It's very selfish. It doesn't align with the football club. I think they could have done a lot more off the pitch as well, and they haven't. But yes, have they got a lot of things right on the pitch in recent time? Absolutely. Do I care about this? No, because what if they want to make Liverpool the best team in the world and then they take us to a Super League? Well, now I never wanted that. I'd rather be a mid-table Premier League than ruin the complete heritage of the football club. So I would not be as short-sighted or as stupid or as deceived to blindly back FSG purely because they've had a good transfer window. Or let's even be more honest and say they've had a few good transfer windows and they've ran this football club well. I would agree with those later two statements. Have they ran it perfect? No. Has the on the football pitch stuff been great? No. Is there any evidence they can do this without Jurgen Klopp at the helm? No. But have they done well in recent time? Yes. Do they deserve praise for this? Absolutely. Are you a disingenuous prick to ignore all the bad stuff that they've done? In my opinion, yes. And to say that just because of the signings is why we should support and blindly support their project is ludicrous to me. I'm still not a big fan of FSG. If I could have FSG out tomorrow, I absolutely would. And that's my opinion. That's my opinion. That people can feel more than entitled to disagree with. That is fine. But everyone seemed to have forgot about that Super League very, very fast. And you forget how they tried to do that in a time where there was COVID, everyone was vulnerable, no one was in stadiums, so they thought they weren't going to get people protesting. But then the online outrage was so huge, they all had to back out. And FSG were one of the last teams to back out. They were that kid who never made the idea, like, guys, we might have went too far on this. They were one of the kids that were willing to stay in trouble until all of them got caught, and that's exactly what happened. And that's why they done that apology video, which worked fucking wonders. Even though everyone at the time was like, oh, you can see what they're doing. Look, a couple of good transfer windows, and already you've got those FSG goggles back on. It's insanely stupid and naive to me. So unlike other people, I'm consistent. Even if it meant us going a little bit worse on the pitch or whatever, I'd still want them gone, primarily because of that footballing decision. Like I said, FSG is great to get a sleeping giant back to the pinnacle of football, but that's it. They aren't ambitious enough. So FSG out because we are Liverpool, not Aston Villa, with all due respect. That's another thing. There's no evidence that suggests FSG can get us on the pedestal of the best club in the country and the best club in the world on a consistent basis year after year after year. I think that was very much a Jurgen Klopp thing. And I think when Jurgen Klopp goes, we are going to see the demise of this football club a little bit more, depending on what Jurgen Klopp leaves. Hopefully we can have a little bit of a Bill Shankly type idea where Shankly gives the reins over to Paisley, and luckily the foundations of the football club is still in place, so Paisley can now take the team going forward. We hope something like this can be replicated with Klopp, but when you've got an American brand trying to Americanize everything, it's very, very difficult to sustain that because they're focusing on business decisions opposed to just footballing decisions. So yeah, it's a bit stupid just to love them for this. Colombia have made huge strides in reducing the instances of kidnapping. It's not like it was. People still perceive Colombia has this way about them, but it's now relatively rare. That's great. That's great. It's lovely people from Colombia. It's a shame that people are putting a taint on a bad example of people on this overall situation. I don't like FSG, although they have built a decent squad, to be fair. They have. We agree. It's decent. But you'd like to hope over time, when we won that Premier League and Champions League, we could have went from having a good squad to a great squad, and we never. We stepped off the gas. There's a lot of decisions that they've made wrong, and I'm not going to let some good form in the short term take away from what they've done wrong, because there's a lot that they've done wrong. Let's call a spade a spade. I think Thiago is trying. We are trying our hardest to get him in the best shape, to get him back on the pitch with less injuries. Possibly, but until we see those consistent run of games, it's all skepticism. It's all guessing. Shout out to Mike Diaz. I want my apology for the grief you have gave me about Nunes on your stream in the summer. No, I'm not going to apologise. I really won't. Nunes has been great. Does not warrant an apology. Like, I'll say this about Nunes. I love Nunes, and I think Nunes has been one of the best attackers this season, no doubt. He's still now just fulfilling that price tag that we bought him for. He would still need to do more than what he's doing right now for him to exceed the price in which we bought him for. I love Nunes. I think Nunes is great, and I do think he deserves praise. But he's still doing things that's also quite average. He's still missing open goals. He's still, at times, being a bit reckless. And I don't think he's done anything to warrant a place above Gakpo or Jota on a regular basis. In the short term, yes. Overall, to say he's definitively better, I think that's too soon. So unfortunately, Mike, you're not going to get that apology as much as you'd want it. I'm sure it'll help you sleep at night, bro. But nah, I'll say, and I don't even think I was wrong on Nunes. I said Nunes wouldn't be good enough to win us league titles. When we win that league title, believe me, I'll apologise. Believe me, I'll apologise. And when he becomes a consistent 20 to 30 goal a season striker, I'll apologise even more, no doubt. But what he's done right now, goal contributions wise, has been fantastic. So it doesn't warrant an apology, but it does also warrant that acknowledgement of this dude's been doing his job. But that's what he's been doing, his job. You shouldn't just overgas somebody because they're doing what they should be doing. I was right in the first season. I said Nunes was going to be underwhelming. He was very fucking underwhelming in that first season. But thankfully, this season, he's turned it round. Hopefully, he can continue that form. And then you can sit there and be like, oh my God, look at me, I was right. But we need to see if that remains to be the case, Mikey. My man, Mikey. Big up to the LFC Badir. Thank you for the super chat, sir. Virgil van Dijk, best centre-back in the Prem. Haters are quiet. Hamez, people just don't want to admit it, broski. People do not want to admit it. They know that he's back. They know that he's back on top of his form. I'm seeing people trying to fucking do the Saliba comparisons. I said to Premsy the other day, you will never, ever, ever in your life see Saliba have a season like what Virgil van Dijk had a couple of seasons ago. You will never see Saliba enter those Ballon d'Or conversations. The same way that Rodri or Haaland was robbed of this Ballon d'Or is the same way Virgil van Dijk was robbed of that Ballon d'Or. And Virgil van Dijk, supposed or should be having a Ballon d'Or is crazy. That is a wild thing. No centre-back will touch those standards. That's my opinion. I don't think that there's any centre-back. I think you can think of some of the greats in their prime. I don't think they touched that level that Virgil van Dijk touched. My opinion. That goes for Rio Ferdinand. That goes for John Terry. Goes for Nemanja Vidic. You think of the all-time greats. Peak for peak. I think Virgil van Dijk was clear of all of them. I think if you ask these centre-backs the same questions, if they were honest, they'd sit there and say, I think peak for peak, it would be nice to be on the level of Virgil van Dijk. Saliba could end up having an overall better career than Van Dijk. He could do so many great seasons where he's an 8 out of 10, but will he get 2 seasons where he's 10 out of 10? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Arsenal fans tend to overgas Saliba primarily because he's the best centre-back that they've had in the recent 10 to 15 years of their football club, whereas Virgil van Dijk's the best Premier League centre-back that this league has seen in the past 10 to 15 years. That's fact. And it's only because of that injury that it's shortened that longevity of Virgil van Dijk. But he's came back. He's back to his best. He's been amazing. And unfortunately, because we play such an attacking system, which means we're still conceding the odd goal here and there, people are now putting that blame onto Virgil, which just is not too fair. Not really fair. Honestly, Hortensia, big up G, of course, they needed to spend because FSG only care about top 4 and getting into the Champions League. They have got no ambition to win the Premier League. I agree. If they had ambition to win the Premier League, we would have seen an additional centre-back and an additional midfielder. I agree. But have they done good enough to have us competing? I'd say Jurgen Klopp's had a bigger part to play with the way that he plays with this team. We've seen FSG run without Jurgen Klopp, and it weren't great. We were getting Europa League, barely scraping Europa League. So, yeah, I think that people are a bit short-sighted when it comes to FSG. Shiranath says, United, Arsenal and Chelsea have all shown poor home form at some point in the last decade, Hamez. Can you think of a time Liverpool were poor at Anfield ever? In the COVID season, where we had no fans, we were terrible. Last season, we lost to Leeds United 2-1, I think. That was another time. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. It's very, very rare. No one's got the home support or the home force like the way Liverpool have that home force. It's not the same. Vase of Flowers verging on the ridiculous to compare our verge with some of the names muted. Feck off. Have a great day. Take a break off a Kit Kat. Are you talking about me, or are you talking about other people comparing people to Verge? Why a Kit Kat? Why can't it be a Snickers or something? FSG out, but need to be careful who our new owners will be. Though FSG will never sell soon. Exactly. The reason why I don't talk about it is because it's not going to happen. Fans are very short-sighted. They wanted them out after the Super League. Couple of good transfer later. Actually, you know what? They can stay. That's shown to me there's no point in me riding this FSG out train no more because it's not going to do anything. And fans can be very easily deceived, like the way that you get people asking me now, like, are you still FSG out because we're doing well now? Completely misinterpreting any point I made in the summer about FSG. It was never to do with the signings or the on-the-pitch stuff. It was all the things off the pitch that was going to be detrimental to the long-term ambitions of the football club, and that's the way it is. Know what I'm saying? If Núñez keeps up this current form till the end of the season, would have you been wrong? If he goes and gets 20 goals and then he can do that on a consistent basis for season in, season out, yeah, I'll be wrong. I'll 100% have been wrong. But last season, I weren't wrong. This season, still an element where I've been proved right. I'm not going to lie. I always said Núñez could score 20 goals. I always said this. My thing was mainly, can he make us a league-winning team? I don't know. Possibly. Maybe. But I do think he's still detrimental at times. But yes, if he was to score 20, 25 goals season in, season out, and he wins us a Premier League, then yes. But what lives and dies on me being right or wrong? Because I never said Núñez couldn't score goals. And I never said X, Y, and Z. I simply said we will not win a Premier League with him being as our main striker. If we win a Premier League with him as our main striker, I am now proven wrong. Even if Núñez has a great season, but we've got a poor defence and we miss out on the league by 1 point, I'll even say I'm wrong there. I'll even say there, but we've got to live and die on a proper title chart that is heavily influenced by Núñez's goals. And that's not unfair to ask when you think about one of the most expensive strikers of all time. That is not unfair to ask. But I could be worse. Imagine if we had the Glazers who look at... Yes, it can be worse, but just... If I had kidnapped somebody for 10 years and told them, by the way, this McDonald's that I'm giving you every single day is the best food that you can get, in their perspective, it's very, very good. But I could have went and got them a Chinese, which would have been significantly better. Or I could have went and got them some healthier foods, which would have been much more beneficial for their digestive system. But no, they've been living off Mackey's. And even though Mackey's for them is good, still does not dispute that a Salah could have been more beneficial. Or a Chinese would have been nicer. Maybe slightly more nutritional if it was a proper Chinese. You can't just use the worst example to be a reason like, oh, this is why we're good, because they're dead shit. FSG still went ahead with the Super League. That's where it lives and dies for me, is the Super League. Who do you think will be the manager after. I don't like this question because I don't think the manager exists. The manager we want doesn't exist right now, or he's not known. I don't think it'll be De Zerbi. I don't think it'll be Xabi Alonso. I just don't see it being anyone that's of note right now. I'll be honest. Everyone in the chat, hope you have a great evening on Halloween tonight, and please stay safe. I agree. I hate Halloween. It's all weird. It's all horrible stuff on doors. You know what I mean? Glazers spend 200 mil every year while they need a DOF. Yeah, the Glazers spend money, but the way they run their football club is terrible. Whereas FSG, they've been spending more money recently, but we know overall they definitely took the piss on many years as well. And then to conclude the stream, Lucho Diaz, we stand beside you. You'll never walk alone. Chat, that'll be the end of the stream. Hopefully I'll be live again later. At 4:30, I'm going to be live with Hussam, Tom, and Mont. So make sure you tune in. 4:30 on James Redmond TV, UK time, 4:30. Hussam is getting cooked on Enzo. He's getting cooked on Enzo Wataru. It's going to be amazing. So tune into that one. Set yourself a reminder because YouTube are being terrible when it comes to the notifications recently. And if you can smash a like on your way out, that'd be absolutely fantastic. We've had 200 viewers in this stream, which has been amazing. More of these solo streams to come your way in the near and distant future. Much love to you. See you all later. Sayonara.